Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy the Golden Boy, and today we are back on Apex Legends. And today, what I get a lot of questions from is from you guys, and a lot of questions are Shredded. What are some tips and tricks you can give to people on how to drop higher kill games or how to win specific gunfights? And that's what I'm going over today. I'm gonna be going over specific ways, specific techniques, things you can do to better your odds in every single gunfight, along as every single 1v3, and along with trying to get 20 kill games in Apex Legends. Now, first thing off the rip is going to be something self-explanatory. It's going to be your sensitivity in the game. Now, I've went over this in another previous video. My sensitivity is a 4-3, and I've stuck with that ever since the first day of the game came out. I tried out 3, didn't like it, went to 4, and I stuck with that ever since. My ADS has not changed. It's been the exact same as what it is now. I'm pretty sure it's the same as my my regular sensitivity. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find your specific sensitivity, because nothing else is going to matter. None of the movement, none of the positioning, all these things I'm going to be going over isn't going to matter if you can't hit your shots, okay? So first off, you're going to want to find the perfect sensitivity to hit your shots, and not only to hit your shots, but to track enemies. Find the sensitivity that's going to help you track enemies, because enemies are going to move a lot in this game. People are going to jump left and right. They're going to be sliding, moving, doing all these animations. Pathfinder's going to be using his grapple a lot and all that kind of shit. So you're going to need to be able to track the targets if you're going to want to hit 90 to 95% of your shots. That's what you're going to be aiming for, is to hit at least 80 to 90% of your shots. It's very unrealistic you're going to hit 100% of your shots, but you can definitely strive to be the best you possibly can. So find your sensitivity, find what works for you, stick with that, and use that for the long run. All right. Second thing I'm going to want to go over is probably movement in this game. The second biggest thing in this game besides your aim in this game is your movement. If you are a harder target to hit, it is not going to matter as much for yourself, for your aim, as if you're harder to hit. So what I mean by that is, I heard a clip that Shroud had one day. He said, it's not about hitting your shots, it's about making the enemies miss your shots in this game. And I find that to be purposeful to an extent. I definitely think you should hit your shots more than often, but if you tend to miss some shots here and there, it's not all about hitting your shots, you know. So if you're whiffing some of your shots and you're not feeling comfortable with the gunfight, just start moving left and right, left and right. If you're reloading, keep moving, jump. You know what I mean? Like, I see so many times where people are in gunfights and they just stop moving, they reload, they try and do the animation, and they go right back into the gunfight and they just get melted. You know what I mean? You're just taking too long. You need to be able to crouch a little bit, maybe just bob up and down a little bit while you're reloading, move left to right, slide, you know what I mean, use your cover around you. Movement is such a high factor in this game that people underestimate, because if you're a harder target to hit, you're gonna win more gunfights, just because you're gonna be able to last longer in the gunfight. That's gonna be the main goal, is to last longer in the gunfight. Odds are you're gonna win through the gunfight. Now, after your movement, I'm gonna want to say that, well, first off, I'm going to recommend you a slide jump, right? Because everybody asks me, how Shredded, why do you look to the left slightly and then you jump, you slide? I do it all the time in my videos. I never stop slide jumping. I always slide jump. Just that extra little burst of momentum to get across the map a little bit quicker, and just to get comfortable with movement in this game is it's so good to do that, honestly. So what I recommend to you guys is just slide and jumping just a lot more often. You don't have to do it all the time like I do. I'm a little bit over excessive with it. I slide jump all the time, but just slide jump here and there just to get a little feel for the movement in the game. Just, you know what I mean? Get your character moving, you know, get comfortable with the character, know how far you're going to slide jump in your gunfight, because you can come around a corner and slide jump right into someone's face and just R99 them, and they'll be like, whoa, what just happened? You know what I mean? Rather than just walking around the corner, aiming down sights and shooting. They could predict that. So you come around the corner, slide jumping, they're not going to predict you to slide jump around a corner, you know what I mean? So get used to the slide jump, get used to the movement in this game. It's a huge factor in this game besides your sensitivity. Third thing I'm going to want to go over is positioning in this game. More often than not, I see a lot of people dying and complaining about 1v3s. Oh, I can't win a 1v3, I can't win a 1v1 or 1v2, whatever it may be, because of their positioning. It's not about their aim. They hit their shots. They're like, oh, I'm going to hit all my shots. I just got melted by 3 people. Well, that's because you weren't putting yourself in the best possible position. Use your objects around you a lot. I don't see, like, what I see people doing is they're out in the opening with positioning, especially if you play solos. If you play solos, you're going to want to position yourself in the most optimal spot all the time. You don't see me in the most optimal spot every single fight because I like to push for kills 24/7. You guys already know me. I like to go for the highest kills that I possibly can get in each game. I have the highest kill average pretty much in top 100, so I like to push every single fight. I'm not thinking smart 24/7, but if you're trying to think the most optimal for every single gunfight, you're going to want to put yourself in the most optimal position. So as you can see in this little clip right here, I'm using this rock as my cover. He's a Devo. In no way scenario I should be winning that gunfight right there. He has 60 or like 45 whatever bullets a Devo has, and he's spraying me. The only way I survive that is if I use that tiny rock for cover, crouch underneath it, get my reload off, spray him down with the R99. Those are things that people do not understand, and especially if you're healing, like you see me like I am right now. If you're healing, if you hear other gunfights going on, put yourself in the best position. High ground. High ground is such a underrated thing in this game. People do not look up enough because there are not a lot of skilled players in this game. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. 70 to 80% of this game, they're not the best players. So they're not going to look above them. They're going to hear footsteps and they're going to look around them rather than above them. If you're able to get to high ground, you're able to get your heals off. You're able to reload your weapons. You're able to see around you more to pretty much lay into the people to predict the gunfight, to make the gunfight happen. You know what I mean? So definitely use your objects around your positioning. And if you're going up against 1v3s, man, you have to be very smart about your technique. Every 1v3 is going to be different. Every single fight's going to be different. But put yourself in the best scenario to where you're going to win that gunfight. So if you see a straggler, if you're seeing a 3-man team, right, you're like, oh man, should I take the shot? Wait until one of them straggles a little bit. If you're not, the absolute best player, wait till him straggles a little bit and then laser that one kid, get him out of the fight. 2v1. Then that's what you got to worry about is a 2v1, you know what I mean? Rather than a 2v3. Just try and put yourself in the best possible scenario to win your 1v3s, to win your 1v2s and your 1v1s. All right, another thing I'm going to go over, it kind of goes along with the movement. This is for strictly winning 1v1s like all the time and coming out with almost no damage or the least amount of damage possible. Jump and crouch. Now, I have a SCUF controller, so I have paddles on the back of my controller. My left one is jump. My right one is slide/crouch. And I'm able to use those paddles without moving the fingers off my controller. So I'm able to do those simultaneously while keeping my very good accuracy that I tend to have, you know what I mean? So if you play a certain way, or if you have a certain controller, whatever you want to use, it's completely fine. But you definitely need to optimize what you do with that controller, you know what I mean? So in gunfights, 1v1s, a lot of people do not expect you to crouch shot. You see me crouch shot a lot in this game, and it's because if I feel like the other player has snapped onto me, he's standing still, he's not moving, odds are is going to be right on me, right? So he's going to be aiming from the chest up. He's going to be wanting to hit those headshots. He's going to be wanting to hit those chest shots. So what I do is I bob down for a second, and I crouch shot, and then I go back up, and I keep shooting, and I go back down. It's not right up, not bouncing up and down as fast as I can, because then you're going to predict it, not going to even know what's going on. You go up for a sec, down for a sec, up for a sec, down for a sec, until he's absolutely melted. That keeps you from taking a lot of damage, believe it or not. In a lot of gunfights, I crouch shot, and people just have no idea what to do. And jump shotting. Jump shotting, what you want to do with jump shotting is you don't really want to aim in as much with jump shotting, depending on how close you are. If you're mid-range, definitely aim down sights and jump shot. If you're close range, you can jump shot and hip fire all day. And going right into that, actually, hip fire a lot more. What I see people doing a lot is when they get super close to someone, and I'm talking like 10 to 15 feet, 5 feet, anywhere in that radius, they try to aim down sights, they try to hit their shots, they're missing their shots, their aim looks super shaky, not because of their sensitivity, they're like, oh man, maybe it's my sensitivity. It's not. You need to hip fire a lot more. Back to the Shroud thing, when it comes to, it's not about hitting your shots as much as making your shots, or making your enemies miss their shots, right? So if you're able to hip fire, you're not aiming down sights. When you aim down sights, you're more stationary to get hit. And not only are you more stationary to get hit, but your mobility goes down drastically, especially with certain weapons. With the Wingman, you're able to strafe left and right a lot quicker aiming down sights, right? With the Spitfire, they're not doing that. I'm sorry, you're not moving left or right. The Carbine, you're not moving left or right super fast. So what I tend to do that survives me a lot of gunfights, and I'm talking massive amounts of gunfights, is hip fire. And not only hip fire, but hip fire and crouching at the same time. When you crouch and you hip fire, or you strafe back and forth and hip fire, people do not expect this at all, guys. I'm telling you, you need to hip fire way more. From 5 to 10 feet, you need to be hip firing, because even if a lot of the shots aren't hitting, they're not going to be hitting a shit ton of their shots either. And I'd rather be taking the gamble with me strafing left and right and hitting my hip fire shots rather than them just absolutely beaming me because I'm standing still. You know what I mean? So going over that, those are like 4 or 5 things that I can give you guys right there. And I'd probably say the last thing, that's the least important thing, is the legend. Find a legend that works for you. Find a character that works for you. My play style is very aggressive, so I would go along the lines of Octane, Medic, or Wraith, which I do right now. My favorite is Wraith, you guys can tell. And I'm probably going to be using Octane a little bit more just to experiment with him. I like Caustic. He's a more passive character at the moment, but I just like Caustic because he's just hella fun to use, to be honest. But find your legend, man. If you play a lot passive, if you play way more passive, right? I'm getting ahead of myself here. If you play passive, definitely pick a passive character. It doesn't mean you need to pick a Gibraltar. You can still play Wraith and play passive, but I'm going to recommend to you a more passive character like Caustic or Gibraltar, because you're able to not put yourself in the rushing scenarios, and you're able to stay back and be support for your team. If you have a Gibraltar sitting behind like a Wraith and a Medic, and the Wraith and the Medic are beaming, and you're just back there taking your pop shots as a Gibraltar, taking almost no damage with your dome shield and shit, it's going to benefit you, I'm telling you. But if you like playing very aggressive, I definitely recommend Wraith and Octane. So those are 5 or 6 things I can go over to help you guys dramatically in Apex Legends, because I get a lot of questions on the daily on each video on what I can do to pretty much be better at Apex Legends. First, sensitivity. Second, mobility. Third, placement. Fourth, find your legend. And fifth, dude, just crouch shot and hit fire a lot more often. I can't stress it enough, but hopefully you guys did enjoy this gameplay, a little bit of the gameplay in the background while I talked about tips and tricks for Apex Legends. Hopefully these do help you out. I mash them, as long as you mash them all together very well, over time, you will definitely see the results. But hopefully you guys enjoy the video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.